This is a weird one to me. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I see people get all upset about something that's clearly... I don't know. Like, people will take headlines of articles and just spread it around. It's funny, because, like, tons of articles are written to try to get this kind of reaction, right? The headline is some really clickbaity, grabby thing that's just meant to be obnoxious. But I feel like sometimes, in more recent time, there have been instances of people, like, taking this kind of... See, I would think that you would get less obsessive about weird headline articles, since so many of them are obviously trying to be bait shit clickbait garbage. But you get a lot of instances like this where I look at it and I'm like, I don't really see what people are upset about in looking at this. I feel like people are trying to make a problem out of nothing. But anyways, let's go ahead. I haven't clicked on this, so let's read the actual article in question. It's about time to embrace and accept. I'm assuming that most of the people who are bitching and moaning about this article have not read it and are just basing off the headline. I mean, that's how most of the internet functions. With blah 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 blah, just blah blah blah, the classic blah blah blah. Made up of 3 games. Was an implicit confirmation that things are going to be different. Because they did... See, that's the thing that... I recently went back and I was listening to my old... not old, but my previous FF7R story analysis video. Not analysis. Analysis is the wrong word. Analysis implies that I have some modicum of respect for the writing. I was just talking about how bad it is, but... I was pulling from articles and interviews that the developers had talked about where they said that they weren't planning on taking things in a drastically different direction from the original games, that they were still mostly going to follow the same structure. So I took them at their word for that, but apparently they were just lying, or they have a incredibly different connotative perception of what those words mean, but whatever. In a sense, it was unambiguous. Dumb ghost bullshit. Correct path. Adhere to original story. Simply from Advent Children time traveling Sephiroth. Eris is genuine. Read the script before. Live stream. At the end of the game, the bow breaks. Partier wins the break yet. Fighting. Okay. So where's the remake? Some fans have been in denial, suggesting it was a conceit to get a Sephiroth battle in the first game, or other excuses, I'd imagine. Grand stretches made to while the second part would be more faithful throughout. I mean, I didn't think that would make sense, but I was under the impression that that's what they said in interviews. But yeah. New reveals, time has come to let it go. Moreover, embrace the madness. It's an exciting new story in the universe we love, the characters we adore. It's not what everyone wanted. Reunion at hand. Brainchild. Wait, much of this was likely the brainchild of original FF7 director and remake producer Kitase, who is on the record as saying he thought it boring to make the exact same story and game over and over again. Why would you make a remake if that bothers you? He wanted to make something new, and that is what this twist now allows them to deliver. Sure. The logic in that is so baffling. Okay. We should probably know what to expect. Nomura is, of course, a Kingdom Hearts guy. It won't mirror the trilogy of Kingdom. I mean, well, Kingdom Hearts is a million fucking games, but Nojima both have a predilection for certain kinds of writing, mind-bending narratives that challenge your players' perceptions of events as they currently understand them. That's putting it very politely. And it sure feels like the remake series surrounding titles are going full Kingdom Hearts. See, what is it, what do you mean by that? What is that? What is this? What aspect of Kingdom Hearts are you specifically referring to, other than Nomura's association and the like you said? Okay. What's the point? All of which feel... The first trailer for Rebirth asks a few questions, all of which feel evocatively similar to a Kingdom Hearts trailer. I agree with that, actually. What will become of the planet? Is any of this real? In the same story, we know the answer to these questions. Sephiroth's motivation in particular are very clear to us, except they're not. Their defeat, we now no longer know what he wants or what he might do. What's the... Okay, now I've lost the through line. I don't understand what point the article is even going to be going for. How long is this fucking thing? Alright. Questions. Yeah, I mean, well, okay, more just questions. Ever Crisis. Another possibility for remake. Ever Crisis in an episodic mobile game. Comments from Tetsuya Nomura. This appears to be a younger version of Sephiroth. It happens before Soldier was established. Soldier is Sephiroth's youth. Disney crossover. Many wanted a remake, however many didn't. I was one of the people who argued that I'd rather AAA development time, talent, cash went into new Final Fantasy games. This is the next best thing, taking a familiar universe and deconstructing it and it to do something new. Again, I think that's a very liberal use of the term deconstruction, but whatever. If it's something good, remains to be seen. This was what I said a lot in my video. I was like, I find it really baffling to look optimistically at the idea of a new storyline because they already released an entire full game with FF7 Remake, and they have yet to tell a story. They haven't told any elements of a story. All they did was just mount a bunch of pointless questions, and nothing is fundamental. Like, there is no story yet. There's no even chapter 1 of a story yet. 95% of the game is just shit that was already in the original, plus telling you that they're going to change things going forwards. There is no story yet, so I don't know why you would have faith that they're going to do a good job with telling a new story. You have no evidence to suggest that they'll do anything any decently. Useful. It's like Seven pissed off a writer because they can't accept Eris dying, so they wrote a fanfic to make an alt universe just to ensure none of the heroes dies. This is some crazy IDK alternate universe. Okay, this is actually referring to the thing that people on Twitter are whining about. It's doing its own thing. Well, it's not really... Okay. It is telling a new story with these characters and world and mythos. That's not doing what Kingdom Hearts does. What? See, this is kind of the problem, is when you make comparisons like this is like this, obviously they're not literally one and the same, so there's only certain elements that are comparable, and then when you have like brain rot fucking humundrums like this, they're just like, what? No, Kingdom Hearts isn't a remake, so it's not the same. What are you fucking talking about? Alright, well, that's all I got. So let's look at the incredible super high IQ takes on Twitter. I don't care about these. I was thinking it went for the Kingdom Hearts route. They're making part 1 and 2 and beyond selling for full retail price. Went the action-based route, the OG FF7. As long as each is the full length of the game, I don't really see what people are whining about. I don't disagree, so that's fine with me. All I want from a remake is to go back to the original plot line. Now it feels like someone's fan fiction. I'm interested to see what other responses to this are there. What part of the ghost told to fuck off for trying to enforce canon makes you think things will end the same way they did before? What? Wait, hang on. That doesn't make sense, but... Not a remake, sequel... Doesn't undo... Well, that's not... That is and isn't true. Like, if you're considering them part of a canon, then that's not true. But if it's, like, as a new product, it is just a new product, so that's correct. Okay, you're an idiot. I'm not sure what storytelling is facilitated by Aeris's death. I have no media literacy whatsoever. Alright. Next. I applaud... See, this is the one of the thing, is that tons of people, tons of, like, mainstream-ass people are just shitting themselves at this, like, innocuous headline that is not anything. This headline isn't anything. It's not even critical. Like, people are like, oh, I'm so sick of, like, people using Kingdom Hearts in a derogatory sense. It isn't. Accept and embrace. Do you see these words? It is pro the thing that it is positing. Bold, daring decisions. Okay. Can we stop making Kingdom Hearts jokes derogatorily? They're not, but you seem really stupid, so I guess it's not surprising that you failed to understand that. Y'all played another JRPG. All of them other Final Fantasies have bonkers plot lines that go off the rails. I mean, I'm pretty sure... Okay, even if there weren't other factors that make them comparable, in their event structure, mainly in their, like... their tone, how they present themselves, the kinds of dialogue, like you said, trailer writing and shit. Even if that wasn't the case, just Nomura being on the project would facilitate these kinds of comparisons. I said basically a very similar thing. I said that in my FF7 remake story, talking about that video, I did say that the game is obviously just Kingdom Hearts garbage now. And what, I guess for all these fucking smooth brains like this dipshit, I have to explain because they're too fucking retarded to understand what valid comparisons points can possibly be made. I was referring to the fact that the writing was just making decisions and just making crazy, mysterious shit with no explanation, and then leaving it up to a sequel to explain to try to justify the things that were completely unexplained previously. That's the most prominent, like, bad writing style that I was making comparison point between this and Kingdom Hearts. I was like, okay, well, they just shove a bunch of things in here. There is basically no story at this point. They have not written anything that could be considered a story yet. Just a bunch of incredibly inconsistent time travel multiverse rules and just nonsense. Like, they literally can just do whatever they want because they have... because they don't feel the onus to actually justify anything or make it make sense. So they just have to... They'll probably just come up with some excuse later on in the sequel. See, this is something that is like... You have to have a certain amount of faith that... This is very much good faith, bad faith situation. Like, I do not think that they planned out the story of this remakes trilogy in advance. I don't think they planned it out. I think just like, because I can see the same thing in Nomura's Kingdom Hearts writing. Kingdom Hearts is filled to the brim with retcons. It is not a consistent story. He just came up with one shit, and then he changed his mind, or started redoing things, or like just shoving in new ideas completely out of the blue or anything. It is filled to the brim with retcons, each iteration. So Kingdom Hearts 3 completely undoes like a million fucking things in Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, all the other things like 358 over 2 days, every one of those stupid fucking games goes back and destroys something that was already written. So that's the writing style that I'm making a comparison point when I say that it's just Kingdom Hearts schlock now, is that it's very obviously the same writing style. We'll just come up with a bunch of shit. We don't feel the need to explain anything to make an actual story, and then in the sequel, we'll probably just retcon a bunch of this shit, or just come up with lackluster excuses, or just throw in new shit to try to justify what we already have. See, Nomura doesn't fucking proofread anything. He just does shit, and then in a sequel or in some sort of spin-off, he'll try to go back and explain the stuff that literally did not make sense. That's how it's Kingdom Hearts. Have complicated stories. Go fuck yourself. Yes, it's recognized for its bad storytelling. I mean, that's not... This person does not understand how these things work, but okay. Fucking, Sakaguchi was the producer, quote-unquote, of the original FF7. He still had the largest hand in writing it. You fucking moron. I don't get it. I don't understand these people. Alright, it seems like no one has a genuinely interesting take on this perspective. Someone who actually knows, like, someone with a modicum of basic comprehension for facts and reality. Thank you. Yeah, all of these people are just, like, people complaining about this article title by taking... individually, each person is taking a different, completely baseless, wrong perception of this. See, this is the only person that actually gets to the heart of the matter of what do you even mean by this statement. Everyone else is making really bizarre comparison points. As if that's what the article was referring to. God, these people are so fucking stupid.